On a platform filled with hatred from many angles, our protagonist right off the win of the Institute, Darrow bends the knee to Nero Augustus, the murderer of his wife. Claiming Darrow for his own, Augustus takes him to his shuttle, warning him that Cassius's family will never cease to hate him, just as Darrow won't waver in his hatred. However, with Mustang by his side, his hatred wavers, but for how long? Hello, one and all, to the review of the century. No one has ever reviewed a book as well as I, and I hope to bring you on a journey you may not forget. Or if you like the video and give us a thumbs up, that's really all I'm striving towards. If you don't already know this channel likes to spoil content that's older than 2 years. You have been warned. I will figure out a way to review books from here on, but I will figure out a different way to review books that are newer. I do mean it when I say this. I do highly recommend just reading the book, or at least, if you want to, read along with me. I really love this series, and I'm going to try a new way of recapping and reviewing it, so here I go. I've got to say, the way that they introduce us into the opening credits brings us straight into Darrow's feelings, the way that he felt right at the end of the last book, that aggressive and blunt feeling that he had. This is the exact reason the pacing of these books keeps me hooked at every moment. We lead off the first chapter 3 years after the last. Just like the Institute, Darrow plays war games in the academy to win the affection of his teammates and enemies to gain trust in this unknown society. And just like the Institute, the world Darrow once lived in shrinks again. Now, in the vastness of space, his once home seems all the more distant. So small was his world, not but a few years ago. But his hatred keeps the ones now closest to him at bay. Most farther than his family back in the mines of Mars, making all the more room for the proctors to interfere with winning solutions to the games. War never changes. His love for low color shows in the fight to escape the dying ship, saving Theodora. In these few beginning chapters, we get to see our old friends from the Institute, some good, some bad, and I'm glad that they try to ground you while showing you just how vast the books will go with the vastness of space. You can see the beginnings of the mistakes that Darrow makes that he can't recover from, and I have to be honest, I fucking screamed about Chekhov's gun when I saw the cannon. Man, Darrow's gonna become a carny. The Gray saying death pension reminds me of something. Something that won't leave my fucking head for the next 3 hours.
Welcome to space. What were you expecting? It's a dangerous place.
Wanting to find any type of relaxation, he takes time to draw a bath. One that will soon be stained with blood. Then Cassius's family
Beat him half to death! He beat him half to death!
Go stick your fist up your cousin. Darrow with the fucking RKO out of nowhere. Don't fucking say that. When he was able to reach Augustus again, Ares was the main topic until it became clear that Augustus is wary of letting his image decay in any way possible, and is easily swayed by one of his cronies to cast Darrow aside, leaving him to fend for himself against the Bologna. Darrow is given 3 days' notice before he is sold to another house. I'm so in love with Darrow when he says, "The last one of the governor's lackeys to touch me got stabbed in the cerebellum 6 times." While undercover, Darrow is very good at keeping his anger as a mainstay in his personality while still making it work with the golds. Darrow, even though he is a peerless guard, is given the fuck off treatment by Augustus until he talks about his daughter. Even then, it is only a glance while still holding onto his pride. Augustus never shows weakness. I love how much power they have given to him. It seems like he is far beyond Darrow. It's almost like an impossible to engage with him. For a moment, he thinks of Mustang, the day he left her. His hatred for Augustus holds more weight than the love they may be able to share. At least for now. Regretting his actions towards Mustang, this is the first real instance of realizing Mustang is much better for him than Io ever was. This love for Mustang is growing and shows how much he thinks of her. Where his wife was in his head constantly in the first book, half of the time spent in this book thinking of Io is turned into thinking of Mustang. It shows how much he is growing, and I hope nothing goes wrong. On Luna, Darrow speaks to his friends from the academy, keeping a distance. He doesn't let either of them in. Victra pushes him beyond Citadel grounds. As we learn more about the lower colors, as Darrow dresses as an obsidian so he can speak to a new friend. Flying down into the Citadel slums, passing each ring, a hologram on the building shows his late wife, a reminder of her martyrdom and his resolve to take down the empire built on classism. Darrow is really pushing Roke away with every small thing he does. Roke wants so much for Darrow, and he just won't let him in. I really wish Darrow saw that. The way Theodora and Darrow speak shows, again, his respect for the lower colors is held so much higher than any gold. Even his friendship with Roke doesn't seem anywhere near as close as his friend Theodora. Victra the succubus tries her hardest, but Darrow is good at being a baby. It is really cool to see her look out for him and bring him out to the Citadel for something she believes that could help him. Casually explaining more about the grays around him and in the ways that the architecture is explained, especially with the TV with EO on it, makes the world feel so lived in and so like ever changing. It also gives like a big cyberpunk feel for some reason in this chapter. Darrow makes it to the meeting where the Jackal offers him a chance at the new life under his leadership. Using Darrow as a figurehead, they could take down not only the Sovereign, but also the Sons of Ares. This is the catalyst for Darrow's highs and lows throughout the book. Oh boy. The image of the Jackal sitting in a crimey bar surrounded by low colors, because those are the only ones that really trust in him, gives me like big Kingpin vibes. The way he controls a room feels like a mirror of how Mickey was in the first book. Darrow on his way to success once again, getting into something that he doesn't even fucking understand. Especially with Evie there, everything is repeating itself. Barely saving the Jackal's life, Darrow heads to the hidden Sons of Ares headquarters, in a meeting with Harmony, Evie, and Mikey. Now he understands the reasons behind their silence and their unexpected bombings. Rejecting their plan to bomb the Bat Gala, Harmony reveals a tape of the day that Io died. Io's words to her sister echo in Darrow's mind, compelling him to join the Sons not only for his lost wife, but also for the child that Gold's rule took from him. Man, what I wouldn't give for Darrow to sweep me up my feet and fly me away at 300 miles per hour. Seeing how far Harmony would go for any sort of win against the Golds shows how far her misunderstanding of politics goes. Hearing how Augustus is willing to kill more innocents and blame it on the Sons shows how little these bombings really matter to them. They could easily raise a campaign against the Sons with the very people the Sons are trying to save. But they would just let that happen and let some peerless guard die just to do that. Harmony has completely lost sight of what the Sons were created for, but We could all see this happening if she was to become some sort of leader, especially in the first book. She was very much like this. This was just her getting the power. Then Eo's words on the hologram. Fuck, bro, that hurt me. Augustus really killed two birds with one stone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, Tim Gerard Reynolds of the delivery of this line makes me want to sob. That the way that he is able to like express the emotions of all these characters is so vividly seen in my head. Theodora's empathy anticipates the disaster to strike the gala. Unease trembles her body, tears streaming down from her intuitive eyes. In contrast, Roke, attempting to bridge the gap between himself and Darrow, like a brother, he tells Darrow it will all be well. Despite his efforts, Darrow, with disregards for consequences, sedates Roke, disrupting any attempt of rekindling the friendship they probably never had. Watching Theodora fumble and react so abruptly shows how horrible the people have worked for her were and how mistreated she was, and also shows how in love and like how much she really cares for Darrow. Her intuition with Darrow's hidden plans is crazy. With Roke never having that same closeness with Darrow, he cannot see the true plan that Darrow is facing, and when sedated, he never truly understands or recovers from what he believes his brother did to him. Dude, this is chapter 10. This is so amazingly written, just even so far. Can we take a breather for just one moment, though? Like, I don't want to cry myself to sleep every night. While I usually try to be very observant reader, I wish I could understand the pigeon story better. Let me know in the comments if I'm just trying to read too much into this or I'm just like not understanding. I feel like I'm not seeing something very obvious because they said the pigeon story twice. And my brain is not working with it. With this plan set in motion, he arrives at the gala fully prepared to end his life for the lives of many others. If only he'd learned that killing himself for a cause wasn't the fucking best option and never actually works out for him. His resolve dissipates at the sight of familiar faces, his friends and enemies from the Institute. Lenny, rats.
We're rats. We're the rats. We pray at night, we stalk at night. We're the rats.
And Mustang. Reaching his breaking point, he tries to regain his composure. Losing his motivation, his anger replaced with a purpose. He must destroy them from within, the way Ares originally wanted it, and the way Dancer did. His resolve to end things the way that Ares wanted to comes so clearly to him after seeing Mustang. His love for her pushing through the dark path that he was going to go down makes me so happy. I hope they kiss like 30 times. That's it for this part. I'm going to split this up into 4 parts just to make it easier on my editor. And I'm going to eventually then put all of them together into one huge thing. Thank you. I love you. Have a good night.